On a sort of sunny afternoon in San Diego, a handful of strangers, you guys, came together in a room. And on their way into the room, each one of them walked smack through a story. And just like glistening gossamer webs, pieces of those stories stuck to them, and they brought them into the room with them. Now, the strangers didn't remember what the stories had looked like when they were whole. And because the people didn't remember, the stories couldn't remember either. They were lost. Colette, can you make sure that my camera is recording too? It's just in the middle. So the stories couldn't remember that the stories were lost, but luckily for everybody, the people and the pieces of stories, there was a storyteller in the room, ready to put them all together. Thank you so much, thank you so much. She stood before them in a dress made of rainbows, but her stomach churned black like a sea in a storm because she didn't know, and no one could tell her if she would be here on time because of the traffic, or if her story was going to make any sense. She might sink in that sea. So she reached for these pieces of stories that everyone had brought with them. Here, a hero brought in Gabriel's heart. And here, a hearth for our hero to call home. And here, a magical something that gathers all of those sparks of stories to it like stars in orbit. Now the storyteller gathers all of these pieces and she twists them together. She braids them, she threads them, and she weaves them into a tapestry of a story that has never been told before and may never be told again. A hero, a home, and magic. The tapestry gleams like alchemist's gold. Now, my friends, this is the journey that we are on together today. You've brought with you pieces of stories, and in just a moment, with the help of my wonderful assistant, Colette, round of applause for Colette. Yay! We are going to find out what pieces of stories are calling out to be put together today. The universe is filled with stories, and there's one here in this room with us that's just waiting for us to listen closely enough to figure out what its beginning, middle, and end are. So we're going to pull these cards. I may need additional help. If that is true, we will call, are there any names in the name box? Mm-hmm. If that is true, we will call the names on the, if you put your name in the name box, I might call your name to offer additional story building help. We're going to map it out on this very ancient technology used by storytellers of yore. Not really, it's just a whiteboard. But we're going to map out the story here. And that's going to tell us what's happening and where we are and who the story is about. And once we've got the map here, I'll take a few moments to craft the story, find the connections, figure out what it's really about. Then we'll take the house lights out, and I will indulge us all in the most ancient human art of storytelling. Yeah? Sweet, let's do it. Great. So nothing that we are pulling today, I didn't bring anything with me. I'll double check. My apron is completely empty. So nothing came in. Everything that is going to be in this story is something that you brought with you into the room. Nothing is rigged. Okay, are we ready? Mm-hmm. Great. Colette, can we please find out where our story begins? Can we have a setting?
Oh, choices.
Oh my gosh, choices. There's circle choices, great. Oh, which one? Whose is this? Someone did circles?
Circle the ideas.
Did you circle different options on yours?
Yeah.
Can you choose one for me? It's going to tell us where our story starts.
The top.
The top one.
Okay.
The volcano?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Volcano. All right, we begin in a fiery volcano. Beautiful. Inside, probably. Great. Now, Colette, who is the story about? Can we have a single character? King Goob? King Goob, who is the king of the world. So our story is about a king. Beautiful. And can I get I need like a henchman. I need like a king's assistant. A very small dragon. Oh, very good. Okay, so our king has a very small dragon as an assistant. We need to find out what this king wants most in the entire world. And for that, we go to our amazing tool, the Wheel of Why. So we're gonna call someone's name, and I'll have you come up and you're gonna give this wheel a really good spin. And we're going to, Gabe. Come on up, Gabe. Give this wheel a healthy, Price is Right spin, please. Ooh, very nice, very nice. What do we got?
Your choice.
Oh, you gotta come pick one.
So pick
So you
one
can
of
pick
the
anything
words.
that's on the, you could spin it again if you wanted to, or you can pick your
Words.
favorite
Romance,
one.
Revenge, community, safety, wealth, knowledge.
Knowledge, right? So King Goob is seeking knowledge in this story. Awesome. Look, what kind of object gives us knowledge in this world? What is, give me an object, please. An earring, of course. Totally makes sense. An earring can like whisper smart things into your ears. Great. We need someone who gets in the way of King Goob's quest for knowledge. Can I have an antagonist, please?
What?
An antagonist, a bad guy. A busy dragonfly. A busy dragonfly. I'm seeing we got a very small dragon, a busy dragonfly. Great. Lots of small things. Wonderful. And I think we're gonna need maybe a place. We start in a volcano. We're gonna need somewhere. We're gonna need to leave the volcano. So if we leave the volcano, where do we go? A cabin in the woods. A cabin in the woods. And I think that there's going to be a pond nearby for that dragonfly to live in. Wonderful. What is the dragonfly protecting in their cabin? Can we have another object?
Choices.
Choices. Do you want me to pick the top one, Leslie, or do you want to pick one? Yeah, so yeah.
The one I did?
Yeah, you can pick any of those ones. Or just name a different object.
Oh, just the ivory.
Yeah.
Well, I picked banana.
Banana, perfect. So the dragonfly is protecting a banana. Or we've got a banana in the woods. Great. Okay. Banana and earring, starting a volcano. We've got the king, who's knowledge, very small dragon. Of course, a very small dragon lives in a volcano. We've got this earring, whispers smart things. But I think that the earring is hidden somewhere. Can I get another setting? Where is this earring hidden? A bridge. Is it on the bridge? Is it under the bridge? We don't know yet. So we've got to get to the bridge, start in the volcano. We travel through the cabin. There's a banana. Okay, there's a banana involved. And we end up at a bridge. Great. Where the earring is. I think I want to know what this dragonfly is doing with its life. So what is this dragonfly? Let's pick another name. We're gonna spin the wheel of Y again. I think there's only one left. Oma, coming up and give the wheel of Y a nice healthy spin, please. It's so good, isn't it?
Romance.
Yes, of course. Of course. Okay. Whew. Banana breath. Of course you don't have romance. Got banana breath. Okay. Okay. We start in a volcano. We've got the king of the world, and all he wants is knowledge. And we know that there's an earring somewhere in the world that can whisper smart things into your ears. His best friend / sidekick is a very small dragon. There's something missing. For some reason, who tells them where the earring is? I need another person. A kindergarten teacher. Oh, of course. Okay, so it's a kindergarten teacher who knows about this. Great. Great. If I had more time, I would write a whole nursery rhyme, but I'm not gonna have time to do that. Great, so the kindergarten teacher knows about this, great. It all makes sense. We go here. Dragonfly with romance, a banana. Cabin in the woods. Bridge. Okay. All right, I think I have everything I need. Can I have all of the extra cards, please? So I reserve the right at any time to draw another card if I need one. I also reserve the right, wrong color, thank you. I also reserve the right to call up anyone else to help. I reserve the right to spin the wheel of why again, do whatever we need to make the story work. But now I think we are ready to indulge ourselves in story time. Now friends, please remember that I've had exactly this long to draft, revise, edit, rehearse. So there's every chance that the story will be terrible, but it just might be wonderful. And no matter where it lands on that scale from terrible to wonderful, it will be ours. Yes. And if it's terrible, we'll never tell it again. And that'll be fine. Okay, thank you. Colette, can you do the house lights, please? My friends, this is the love banana. I just need a moment with that, thank you. Fire, dark, sparks, lava, magma. The red of the molten rock shines with just black as the air cools it, but it continues to roil and turn around itself as it flows through the volcano. Sitting on a throne of ash is King Goob. He rules the world from inside this volcano, where he can reach deep into the earth, or he can reach up into the air. He has access to everything. But King Goob is not satisfied. He thirsts for knowledge. He knows that he has control over everything, but he worries that he doesn't know enough to be a perfect ruler. And he fears that if he doesn't know more, he might make mistakes. And if he makes mistakes, he might hurt people. And he doesn't want to hurt people. He wants to be a good king. Now, at his side, of course, is a tiny dragon, a very small dragon, like this tall. And this dragon breathes fire, of course, because she lives in a volcano. The dragon's name is Serenity. And she's green and blue and has hints of purple in her scales. And she breathes a fire that is bright, bright orange and as hot as the volcano that she lives in. And King Goob and Serenity, they rule the volcano and they rule the heavens and they rule the inside of the earth very carefully. King Goob asks Serenity for advice, especially around matters of animal safety and the welfare of people, and she always has great advice for him, so he keeps her very close, just in case. It's like having, when you have a dog, and you're like, dog, let me tell you my troubles, right? This is what Serenity is for King Goob. Now, it comes to pass that King Goob has read all of the books. There's no books left that he hasn't read, in every language. He knows all of the languages, he knows all of the mythology, he knows all of the science, everything. There's nowhere else where he can get knowledge, and he still knows that there is something he doesn't know yet. He knows that there's more knowledge to get, knowledge that isn't hidden in books, knowledge that isn't in a science lab, knowledge that is somewhere else. So he says, Serenity, there's still more to know. I've read all of the books, I know all of the languages, where else can I look for knowledge? And Serenity says, well, duh, you didn't ask a kindergarten teacher yet. Kindergarten teachers know everything. Every 5-year-old will tell you that the smartest person in the world is their mom, and the second smartest person is their teacher. And King Goob said, yes, my friend, this is why I ask you the big questions. You always have the right answers. So King Goob sends for a kindergarten teacher. my kindergarten teacher comes and her hair's kind of on fire and she's sort of singed around the edges because she's in a volcano. And she comes and she says, yes, my liege. But she's not very good at curtsying and she's about to fall over. And he says, stand up, you don't need to. You're so wonderful, you don't need to bow in front of anybody. And she stands up and she says, thank you so much, my leg's really getting sore, thank you. What, my king, what do you need from me? And King Goop said, well, you see, I've read all the books and I've done all of the science and I know all of the languages, but I still think that there's something that I'm missing. There's something that I don't know yet, and if I don't know it, then I can't be the best ruler ever. I won't be perfect. I might hurt people. And the kindergarten teacher said, well, of course. There's always more to learn. We need to be lifelong learners. She's the kindergarten teacher. And she says, well, there is a song that I teach my children. This is where I would write a song for you, but I won't do that now. And there's a song that I teach my children that my mother taught me, and her mother taught her, and her mother taught her, and I don't know if it's true, but it exists, so who knows? And King Goop says, yes, I don't know the song yet, yes, please tell me the song. And the kindergarten teacher sings a song that explains that somewhere under a bridge, there is a piece of jewelry that can teach you everything you want to know in the world. It can answer all of your questions, and it's hidden under a bridge. And the king says, something that can answer all of my questions? And it's just under a bridge? Where is this bridge? And the kindergarten teacher said, I don't know, it's just a song. I don't even know if it's real. And the king says, okay, no, that makes sense. You got anything else for me? And the kindergarten teacher says, well, you know, I always tell my students that the most important thing is to be nice. And the king said, yeah, I suppose that's good advice. Okay, thank you, you can go. And she went, thank you so much, goodbye. And then she left, still singeing, smoke trailing behind her. Well, the king looked at his best friend Serenity and said, Serenity, it sounds like we need to go on an adventure. And Serenity says, yes, it does. Let's go. Serenity loves an adventure. Every dragon loves an adventure. So, but King Goop says, you know, I don't know where to go. It's supposed to be a bridge. Can you go figure out where this bridge is supposed to be? And Serenity says, yes, I can. Here I go. And Serenity leaps up into the air and she flies straight through the hole in that volcano. And she flaps around for a while and she asks all of the people. And she comes back and King Goop is waiting for her and it's been a couple days. She comes back and she's like, man, I need a break from that vacation. That was a lot. And he says, great, tell me, what did you learn? Where is this bridge? She said, oh yeah, no, I found it. It's like, there's a, I don't know if it's like the bridge, but there's a good bridge and it's in the middle of a forest. That way. And he said, great, let's go. And she said, good, hop on my back. But King Goop is like this big, and Serenity's like this big, and he's like, I don't think that's gonna work. So they called one of Serenity's cousins, who's a more of a people-sized dragon, and King Goop hops on this other dragon's back, and Serenity leads them deep into a forest. Now this forest is a forest, you know, grows close to a volcano, where the land is very fertile. But also, sometimes everything just gets burned down. So it's a very tropical forest, rich greens, bright greens, lots of beautiful colors of birds, lots of rain in this forest. It's not like a dark pine forest, it's like a jungly forest. There's also probably some scary snakes in there somewhere. So Serenity leads them to the spot in the forest, and she says, here it is, it's right here, look it. See that sort of empty spot in the forest, and they're kind of circling around on their dragons. There it is right there, do you see? There's like a glint of water, and the king says, yes, I see it, it's shining. Let's go now. So they swoop down, and they land next to a body of water in this forest. The other dragon says, all right, I got stuff to do, I'm gonna go. And the other dragon jumps up into the air, flies back to the volcano to take care of their business. So now it's just King Goop and Serenity left. So they're standing on the edge of a pond. And like, not a California pond, but like a East Coast pond. That's pretty big. You might also call it like a lagoon. It's quite large, surrounded by this beautiful tropical forest. And in the center of it is kind of like a scoop of land, like a boulder, kind of in the middle of the pond. And on the way over to it, there's a beautiful arched bridge that has been made out of these beautiful like teak, jungly woods. It's very dark, very beautiful bridge all the way over to that rock in the center of the pond. And King Goop says, there it is, there's the bridge. The thing is, whatever it is that we're looking for has got to be under the bridge. And Serenity said, yeah, but like, we don't even want to just go dive under the bridge? Like, what are we gonna do? And King goes, oh, Serenity, you're so wise. You're right. We should probably figure out what we're looking for before we start to look for it. Thank you, friend. No problem, boss. So they look around, like, hello, is anybody here? And from way over there, a snake hissed, and they went, oh, nope, not. Thank you so much. We don't need your help. You're a little scary. Okay, we'll stay over here. And they started to walk around this big pond, and they came upon a cabin surrounded by these jungly things. It had a beautiful lanai, a beautiful like balcony porch in front of it, and like big windows. You kind of open the whole thing up. Very, very nice, very airy. And they go up and everything's open, right? So there's no door to knock on. So they go, hello? Is anyone here? Anybody here? And Serenity goes, hey, come and have an adventure with us. We have questions for you. And then from inside the cabin, they hear a tiny buzz. A bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. And out flies, in ziggy-zaggy lines, a beautiful red dragonfly. Beautiful. And Serenity goes, whoa! A dragonfly? I'm a dragon? You're a dragonfly! You're way smaller than me. I'm a pretty small dragon, but you're even smaller than me. Dragonfly. Neat. And King Goop says, oh, wonderful. Hello, dragonfly. Perhaps you can help us. Have you lived here on this lake long? Or this pond, very long? And the dragonfly says, well, all of my life. And King Goop says, how long is your life? About 3 days so far. Okay. Well, perhaps you still know something about it. Oh yes, I have all of the knowledge of all of my ancestors. My dad, and his grandma, and her grandfather. Okay, we get it, thank you. Well, maybe you can answer for us. We're looking for something that can answer all of our questions. It's confusing. It's supposed to be like hidden under a bridge, but it can answer all of your questions, and it's probably a jewel. Anything like that in your ancestral knowledge? Oh, well, maybe. It's hard to tell because when I float on the water, which I do all of the time because that's where I can have my babies, I see things shining deep down in the water, but hard to tell what it is, and how am I gonna know if it gives me knowledge? I can't even go under the water. And King Goop says, oh, well, that's fair. Well, would you perhaps consent to being our tour guide? And the dragonfly says, maybe, but I need to be paid. Oh, well, how do you take payment? Do dragonflies need gold? The dragonfly says, no, just bananas, please. King Goop says, a banana? But bananas, we're in a jungle forest. There's bananas growing everywhere. Yes, please, bring me some. So King Goop goes, Serenity, come here. And Serenity says, yeah, boss, listen. And Serenity, can you please go get some bananas for this dragonfly? Yeah, boss, I gotcha. So Serenity leaps into the air and goes off and comes back a few minutes later with a big bunch of bananas. And the dragonfly says, oh my god, bananas! This is like the most rich day of my entire life! This is so exciting! And the dragonfly starts to eat the bananas through the peel. I don't know how. We'll figure it out. And gets very excited. And he goes, great, I brought you the bananas. Now can you please take me to the jewel? And the dragonfly says, well, I can't, but now that I've had a good meal, I remembered how sad I am. And the dragonfly started to cry. Dripping, dragonfly tears. And King Goop goes, oh, what now? What is making you so sad? I am a great king. I've read all of the books. I know all of the languages. I've done all of the science. Perhaps I can help to answer whatever is going on with you. What is going on? And Dragonfly says, well, I've got all these bananas now, and that's really great, but I'm just still so lonely. And Dragonfly cries. And King Goop was so lonely, but you just said you had all these ancestors you're running. I know, but they're all dead. We only live for 4 days. Okay, great. Well, I'm very sorry. Very sorry that you're lonely. I'm not sure what we can do about that. And Serenity turns and says, psst, hey boss. And King Goop says, yeah, what's up? And Serenity says, honestly, I'm kind of lonely too. And King Goop said, Serenity looks at King Goop, her best friend forever, and looks at the dragonfly who's like crying on a pile of bananas, and looks at King Goop, and looks at the dragonfly, and looks at King Goop and says, "Can I be friends with you both?" And King Goop says, "I guess? Sure. You need an adventuring buddy, right?" And Serenity says, "I too need an adventuring buddy." And Serenity turns to the dragonfly and says, "I need an adventuring buddy. Will you come and fly around with me and be my adventuring buddy?" And the dragonfly says, "A friend? That's almost as good as like a boyfriend. Yes, I'll be your adventuring buddy." And then dragonfly flies up, I think, to a fun little like wingy dance thing where they like kind of fly around each other, right? But Serenity's bigger, so they kind of like, it's kind of a lopsided circle. Kind of go like this around. And everything's very happy. Wonderful. So King Goop says, "Great. Back on track, everybody. We're in the middle of a very specific adventure. Can we get going?" And Dragonfly says, "Yes, of course, especially now that I have someone to fly with me." And so Dragonfly flies over to this bridge and leads Serenity over. And King Goop's like, "Wait, you guys, you can't fly so fast. I only got 2 feet." And he's chasing after them. And finally, Dragonfly and Serenity land on this beautiful bridge that spans from the edge of the lake, or the edge of the pond, to that little island in the center of it. And they land there. It looked very beautiful. Serenity's shining that green blue with that purple sheen on her wings and her scales. The dragonfly's that bright red, kind of perched actually on Serenity's nose right here, where it's nice and warm. Serenity breathes fire, yeah. So it's nice and warm there. And so they're perched there and they're just like being friends, and it's great. And King Goop finally catches up with them. Man, you guys really go fast. And then the dragonfly looks down in the water and says, "Well, this is it." And Serenity looks down in the water and goes, "This is it?" And King Goop looks over in the water and says, "That's it? What is it?" The dragonfly says, "Don't you see? Deep down in the water, if you look closely, there's stuff sparkling down there." And King Goop is like, "I'm a volcano king. I can't swim. How are we supposed to get down there? All the way down deep in the water." And the dragonfly says, "Oh, but of course, in my pocket, I have a magical," let's find out, "box of tissues, which you can use." I carry them around with me everywhere because I cry. I'm pretty lonely, right? I cry all the time. So here's a box of tissues, and Dragonfly hands the box of tissues to King Goop, and King Goop takes the box of tissues and says, "I'm not really sure how these are supposed to help." And the dragonfly says, "Well, if you eat them, then all of the paper of the tissues will absorb the water, so you can go underwater and you'll be fine. You won't drown because the tissues will absorb it all. They're magical." And King Goop's, "Okay, I guess." So he swallows it, and he's like, "Oh, I do feel a little funny." You kind of feel the tissue box expanding in his belly. Here goes nothing, and King Goop jumps. He kind of climbs up onto the railing of the bridge first, and he jumps off the bridge, and he dives all the way down in the water. And he searches, and he searches, and he's like moving away like seaweed and moss and all of these like watery things, and there's fish coming up trying to like figure out what he's doing and kind of like pecking at his ears and his hair. And he shimmies around, and you know what, he's actually fine. He's like, "I can actually, like, I don't feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I've got plenty of air. These tissues are pretty great." And he's searching around, and finally he sees it, a little glint, way at the bottom, deep in the deepest part of the pond. So he swims down, and he swims down, and he reaches for it, and he pulls up a tiny pearl earring. It's like a beautiful black pearl, and it has one of those like hook earrings on it. And he's like, "This doesn't seem like something that would hold all of the knowledge of the world, but it's shiny. Let's see what happens." So he swims back up, and he gets up, and he climbs his way back onto the bridge, and he's like, water is dripping off of his body. And he's like, "This is all I found. Everything else in there is like seaweed and moss and fish. This is it. This is the only thing that you could even think would be a jewel. But this doesn't seem right, does it?" And Serenity says, "Doesn't seem right, but like magic is magic, dude, right? Like adventures are adventures, magic is magic. Maybe that's it." And Dragonfly says, "Can we get more bananas?" Oh, King Goop says, "Well, I guess I'll try it," but his ears aren't pierced. It's tricky. So he kind of takes the pearl, and he takes it, and he just tucks it into his, like where his ear cups here, and he tucks it right in there, and it settles in, and it's cold at first, but it warms to his body as it sits there. And he says, okay, ask me something, ask me anything. And Serenity says, okay, what is 2 plus 3? And King goes, oh, come on, ask me something harder. You know that I've read all of the books, and I know all the languages, and I've done all the science. Ask me something hard, something that a king would really need to answer. And Dragonfly pops up and says, okay, well, I know that bananas are the most important thing, but what's the second most important thing? And King Goop says, oh, I feel it. I can hear it's like a buzz in his ear, like in his brain, and it's not words, but it's like he all of a sudden like knows what the answer is, and he looks at Dragonfly, and he looks at Serenity, and he says, the most important thing, other than bananas, is to love each other. And Dragonfly says, oh yeah, that sounds great. Can we do another adventure? This was fun. And so Serenity and Dragonfly fly off into the distance. King Goop treks his way back home, because remember the big dragon left, he has to walk home all the way through this jungle, climbs up the top of the mountain, and he drops himself down back inside the volcano and sits himself back on his ash throne. And he ruled for the rest of time from inside his volcano, both underneath the earth and up in the sky, with this one truth, which is that love is the most important thing, and being kind to each other is the only way to get through life. Be